Hello everybody, the 350Z is back on the channel. Now, a few things about it have changed since you last saw it, so I'll run you through those quickly, then I'll tell you what we're up to today. Although I suspect, if you read the title of this video, you can already guess. Now, the first thing that Dan did to this car was had these alloys resprayed white. I'm still not sure whether I like them or not. I really love the beautiful rays that come on this car, and they look sexy as hell. I don't know. I'm not opposed to white alloys as a general rule, but whether they work on this car, I don't know. When it was all clean, when I saw it last, we've just driven it about 130 miles this morning, and it's still cold and miserable out there. But when they're clean, they do look super nice. Now, it's got a few stickers and things, so Dan's theme for this car is going to be blue and white. You'll notice that the big black 350Z sticker that was on the side is now gone. This little white hoonigan sticker has appeared, and around the back it has a little white sticker, well, that says, I believe, Katana Drift. Is that right? Yeah, Katana Drift. Or at least that's what we hope it says, rather than something like, you know, silly westerner bought a sticker off eBay and he cannot read Japanese. So anyway, today's mission, we're down here at Thorney Motorsport to get a custom exhaust put on this car, because it doesn't actually sound that bad, but we know that they can sound an awful lot better. Now, Dan's design brief for the exhaust has been fairly simple. We want it to sound a bit raspier, a bit louder, but crucially, this car is going to go on track at some point, so it must still be able to pass track day noise regs. So, we're going to do a couple of before shots now, so you know what the car sounds like. We've already done some drive-bys and some onboard stuff with the car before, so we'll have plenty of reference material so that you guys can compare and contrast the two. This is an exhaust made to order. We're not touching the cats, we're not touching the front section, so nothing is going to change in terms of emissions or MOT legality. It's just going to be a bit fruitier sounding, and also we know that at least one of the tips on this has started to rust, so we don't know what condition the rest of the system is in. When we get the car on a ramp, we'll of course be able to show you and point out to you exactly what we're doing, and we're hoping also that we're going to be able to film quite a bit of the process here today, because we believe some of these exhausts are actually being manufactured on this very day, and we're also going to talk to the guys here a little bit about how you make a custom exhaust, the important things to consider, and what your options might be if you're thinking about doing the same thing on your car. So without any further ado, we're going to start this baby up and give you a couple of revs so you know what it is that we're starting with. Give it a few light tickles. So, our mechanic for the day, Tom, is absolutely lovely, but he has a touch camera shy, so I'm going to talk you through some of the stuff while he's over there getting prepped and ready. Now, he says that this is actually in pretty good condition for the underside of a 350Z of this age, and Dan, do be careful, because there is a lot of heavy metal stuff behind and above you. So, we have here, you've got the two primary catalytic converters, and then here you have the famous Y pipe. Now, we are leaving this entire section alone. A lot of people will replace this Y section here. If you want to know why it's called a Y pipe, it's pretty obvious. The two bits of flexi here are in good condition, and apparently if a car is lowered, these can suffer, they can scrape, they can get bashed. You can see a little bit of corrosion kind of starting to happen here, so these bolts are kind of all kind of come together. And you got a secondary cat here. And so a lot of you can buy a Y pipe, they're not expensive, so various companies will do them for like say 200 quid or so, and that just gets rid of this little cat here. It'll improve your noise, it'll improve your performance, and you should still be able to pass an MOT test with this deleted. That's fairly normal, fairly common thing to do. A lot of manufacturers will put these in just so that they're, you know, absolutely completely sure they'll pass tests, and also worldwide compliance. It might be, you know, in California and places, this has to stay in if you want to stay legal. Coming back here, you can see also it's a relatively small diameter pipe. You've got one silencing element here. Now we're replacing the exhaust from here, so everything from here back is going to be new. And again, you can see it's sort of starting to corrode just a little bit. Now, it's a really odd setup here. So it goes all here, around the diff and back. And if I make any mistakes while I'm talking all this stuff through, by the way, guys, I'm not an expert. The experts are over there, and I'll be back here in a bit. So I'm just going to do my best possible job of explaining how this is all going to work. And then you have this big old back box here, a premium back box made in the UK. Now, you can also see, I would have done a little shot earlier of the rear tips, which are not in the best condition. So this one has basically completely fallen apart on the inside, and this one is sort of starting to go. A lot of you will have noticed that on the video we did of the car before. So first job is going to be to get this off, and then we're going to look at the new one. You're safe. That is how bad the tip was. That with only 20 or 30 minutes of struggle, you can take it off by hand. I'm going to show you what's replacing it, because Dan, of course, was very concerned about what his new tips would look like. Come with me. Naturally, of course, ta-da! Vast improvement. Vast improvement. Now, I know your average YouTuber would just get some exhaust and kind of chuck it on there in the video, make some noise and be like, yeah, there, you're done. No, we're doing things a little bit differently. You see, here is our exhaust at present. Some assembly is required. So when we say we're getting Dan a custom exhaust made for his car, that is exactly what we mean. So the plan is, old exhaust is going to come off. We're then going to give you a nice sound clip of the car with just the front half on. So basically just cats and no silencing whatsoever. Then we're going to put this all together, see how it sounds, and then basically season to taste. So our main requirement is that it will still pass track day reg, so it's still got to be under the 105 static. Other than that, should sound pretty tasty. Certainly the ingredients are all there, so we're gonna get cracking. Well, they're gonna get cracking. I'm gonna watch in general admiration, basically. This is the car without the exhaust on at all, apart from the front end. Sounds good. That's lovely. things are progressing nicely, if at a very deliberate pace. We've decided that this car is going to have a resonator in it, so you'll have already seen that go in, because, well, it will help keep the volume levels down enough so that we can hopefully get the car on track, and also it will prevent it from droning excessively at motorway speeds. And as I know Dan plans on doing a few big excursions with this car, you really don't want it droning whatsoever. So the exhaust is being measured, bent, welded, filed, shaped, formed as we go through. And now the back box is being lifted into position so it can be worked out as to exactly how we're going to connect that up, where it's going to hang and everything else. So all the hangers are still on the car, we kept them on there. The original exhaust is outside and is toast, completely gone. So that's of no use to man or beast. So it looks like we got to this car in pretty good time. Fortunately, we can also see that the car is in generally good condition underneath, barring a little bit of fur from some unidentified piece of roadkill that Dan decided to griddle with his Nissan the other day. But generally, things are going pretty well. Now, while the last of the exhaust is being put together, I thought I would show you just the ridiculous breadth of things that they work on down here at Thorney Motorsport. As you can tell, our exhaust is a real custom item being made specifically to fit this car. And they work on all sorts of stuff. So right at the back down there, you have a McLaren 12C. Thorney have recently built themselves a reputation as one of the first, if not only, McLaren independents in the country and one of very few in the world. And they are quite respected for the work that they've been doing with that brand. You have here a BMW M3 track car. And behind us we have this lovely little Citroen C1. In fact, through there and out there, we even have some Yamaha ATVs. Such is the breadth of vehicles that Thorney work on. This thing has been bought by some of the mechanics here, including our maestro for the day, Tom. You might be able to hear someone revving something up on the dyno. That is, I believe, one of the Yamaha ATVs that they work on. This thing has been bought as a low-cost race car. There's a series for them in the UK. I think they might even have a similar one in Europe, and a lot of people race C2s as well. So this car was bought as a cheap car. There's very, very little you're allowed to do to them, barring putting some safety stuff in and stripping them. And the guys here have kind of gone in between them and they're going to have some fun racing. So the last of the exhaust is going together. We're sort of, the back box is in place. The tips are being measured up now, put in place. And then essentially we're going to make sure that the thing sounds like we want it to sound. And then everything's going to be checked over. All the welds are going to be sorted, checked, made good, all that jazz. And yeah, let's carry on with the montage. The exhaust is on. We have not yet heard it. They've done an excellent job visually, and now we're about to find if it's done the business from a sound perspective. So we've genuinely not heard this at all. So our man's gonna hop in. He's only sacrificed, well, he has sacrificed blood and sweat and tears. So yeah. Give it a few light tickles.